Hi, I'm Joe. This is carrying on with my videos of care. Now, today I'm going to be talking about, I'd say, the best place I've ever worked in my life. Don't get that confused with the best company I've worked with. It's the best place I've ever worked. It's not the best company who I've ever worked for. There is a major difference. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about a company who I worked for called Crystal Care Solutions. Now, I know straight away if any managers are watching this, a lot of you will be cringing right now. The stories I've got on this company are absolutely unreal. They really are. I must have worked with Crystal Care Solutions for 2 years. This was actually, I got put in here when I was working with Lavoro or Hamilton Man or whatever you want to call it. And this was the only company, every company we worked for, I'd say about 95% of the companies offered me a full-time job, but I never took it. But when Crystal Care offered me the job, I actually took it because I enjoyed working there that much. So straight on to it. So it's a hard one where to start. Do you know what? I'll start off with my very first shift working here. I can remember it. I was working in a house called, I'm not going to tell you, but all the houses were named after Stoke Pottery. Spelled that wrong, actually. Stoke Pottery brands, we'll say. So we've got Wedgwood, Moorcroft, Ainsley, Burnley. There wasn't one. No, not one of them. Not one of them. There was one of them. There was a Dalton. Yeah. So, but this one was, I'm not going to give you the names of the homes I was working for. But like I said, if you look at pottery stuff, more than likely it'll have the names there. But anyway, to the point. So I worked in Stoke. So what I really wanted to do was work in children's homes because I thought they'd be a lot funner than working with adults, and I was 100% correct. But in the words of Uncle Ben, with great fun comes great responsibility. Okay, Uncle Joe. Uncle Ben never said that. Uncle Joe did. Yeah, with great fun comes great responsibility, and that is 100% true. So the first home I worked in was when I was with the agency. Come on. That's better. A bit better anyway. Yeah, so the first home I worked in was when I was with the agency. It was one of the newer properties. It was a 3-story property. It had 3 YPs in it. 2 girls, 1 boy. At the time, I was working with 2 members of staff. Each child was 1-to-1. So we'll start off with the assistant manager who was working at the home. She was my first, how to put it, she was the first person I ever met in Crystal. Right, so short lady, she always wore tracksuits, absolute lovely lady, but she was always hyped up. She was, how to put it, she was so intense. Everything about this lady was so intense. I'm not saying it as a bad thing, it was a great thing. She had she managed this care home. I'm not bothered what people say. Even though there was a gentleman who managed the care home, she actually managed it 100%. All the paperwork she made sure was sorted. She had everything sewn up on this care home. She knew the young people so well, all three of them. So there was a young lad who this lady was really, really fond of. Do you know what I'm going to say her name? Irene. Irene was her name. Honest to God. I have so much love for Irene, I really do. She was so good at her job. But anyway, so she knew this young lad, the young YP, so well. Not just him, everyone that was in the home. So at that day, I can remember. So there was a young girl who I was looking after. She was from not far from Birmingham. That's as close as I'll tell you. She lived not too far from Birmingham originally, but she was in this care home in Stoke-on-Trent. Bear in mind, this is my first adventure into looking after young people. So I went into the office. By that time, I had everything in play which I needed to. I had my DBS, I had my meds training, I had all other training. We did get taught what am I thinking of? What's the word I'm thinking of? We did get taught restraint training. Lucky enough, I didn't have to use this in this home. I hated doing it, despised it. But the restraint training is a total beast in itself. I'll tell you bits and bobs in the videos, but I'll have to do a dedicated video of the restraint training. I friggin' hated it, not something I liked at all. So started in this care home, and for a start, bear in mind, I haven't been driving a major long time. This was like the longest drive I'd ever done. I'm still in my red Astra, and tried putting the address in. The address wouldn't come up because it was a new build. Sorry, 1 second. So this was a new estate, so it wasn't on the sat nav, so it was a bit hard to put it. And I was looking at my watch, and I'm like, shoot, I'm going to be late. I need to get this sorted. So we just put Stoke-on-Trent in. Didn't think of it anymore. Followed me sat nav to the T. It took me to Stoke Central, Hanley. It took me to Hanley, and then I had to work out from Hanley how to get there. I ended up doing it. I wasn't late, but I wasn't as early as I'd like to be. But that was fine. I met a lovely lady called Suzanne who was working there as well. Like I said, these children were one-to-one, so each child had one carer. Excuse me, bad sneeze. It seemed like a pretty easy day. The YP who was looking after, this was a weekend, didn't get up till late. They spent most of the time watching TV. Very boring, didn't do anything exciting on that shift. Anyway, from nowhere, big fight in the house, absolutely massive fight. We ended up separating the YPs, we took them out, separate places. There was quite a bit of an age difference, so I think the oldest was 16, then 14, then he was about 11, the youngest. So with the age difference, they didn't have that much in common, in all fairness. So took them out, later on that evening, got them back home, same again, fighting like cat and dog. So I was asked if I'd take her home near Birmingham, because this is what she was kicking off about. She wanted to go home for the night on contact. So we contacted her parents. They said it was fine. She was, how to put it, this young person who I was looking after, she was very manipulative, very manipulative. this is what a lot of carers have got to be careful of, especially young lads that work in care. I weren't young. I was quite sensible. I was smart than other ones. This is something I found quite interesting. These young girls can be very manipulative. The age gap between some new carers to these young people, there's hardly anything between it. It might be a couple of years and that's about it. You could be closer to their age than who you're working with, and that's what you've got to be careful of in care, because these girls will try to manipulate the life out of you. Now, there was a case. Now, this is a story. This has to get changed to a different video. It's just too intense, far too intense. But anyway, that was. I got it in the car. It wasn't my car. It was a company car. It was a Volkswagen Touran. That was it. All she kept on doing was pressuring me to put my foot down to speed, which I wouldn't do, because bear in mind, points don't mean prizes when you're driving. So she weren't too happy with me, with the speed I was going, because I was sticking to the speed limit. But we got her home. She went to Morrison's. Now, hats off to this girl. She didn't see her parents that much, but she took her pocket money, what she got from care. And this is something else. This is going to be another video, how much children get in care. But anyway, she took her pocket money, what she got from the care home, and she went to Morrison's. She bought a mum, dad, sister. I'm sure she had a brother as well. Sweet. She basically spent her money on these. It was so sad in a way, because we got there, she was made up. You'd see her parents, see her brother and sister, and she's giving them all these gifts that she'd bought for them, and they were made up to take these gifts off her, but it just didn't feel like proper love in the house, which was quite upsetting. But that was my very first shift working in care. To me, no. So my phone ran out. I didn't have a charger in the car. I got myself back to Stoke, but the problem was getting from Stoke, from Hanley, all the way back to this care home. So I phoned the care home. Why wasn't the sat nav working? So it was this. So every young person had their own phone, which the carers had. They had a graph phone, as I used to call them. So that's why. It was just a bog standard 12 button phone, 1 to 9 and 0, and then your hash and your star. You know, couldn't do anything, couldn't use it for maps or anything like that. So, God, I got myself to Hanley and I had to get myself to this home. I actually had a phone call off the manager of the home asking where I was. I'm like, I'll be honest, I'm lost. I am lost. So we're on the phone for about half an hour, 40 minutes, with Alan directing me back to the care home, which I eventually done. But yeah, that was my first shift in care. It wasn't exactly fantastic, but it was. I enjoyed it. It was a big difference. I wasn't, because when you're looking after certain adults with autism, you've got to be on the ball. You've got to be watching your back. And this, it was like a step back. It wasn't as intense. So that was my first shift, working in care for Crystal Care. Yeah, did enjoy it. Stayed there. And there's going to be many stories about Crystal Care to come. A lot of stories about Crystal Care. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank the two ladies I was working with at the time. Sue, thank you very much. I don't know if you're still working for Crystal Care, but thank you for a great first shift. A lot of help, to be honest with you, because it was all new to me. And Irene as well. Irene, I will never, ever, ever forget you. Now I believe you're not working in crystal care anymore. But you know what? Much love for you. Really is. But that's me done, right? Thanks for watching. If you like what I do, give me the thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe. If you want to support me, you can on the thank you button on the bottom. Have a great day, and I hope everyone's day goes fantastic.